Okay,
I
that's
did
good.
that on purpose, asshole.
Watermelon, watermelon, watermelon.
I did that on purpose because that. I let you go live. I know, like, because I knew what you were talking about. I was like, I'm gonna go live, and
Just cause. Why not? You know what? Let's do it.
yeah.
Let's do it.
But then I watch you freak out, and you're like, again, like
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
it's
Hi.
fine.
Happy Sunday.
Fuck you. I woke up and chose violence today. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I see that. All right.
No, hello
You know
everyone.
what? It's fine.
It is fine. Hello everyone. I love you, Sean.
I have my special protection mode. So
Oh, you're like you're
I
anti.
came prepared.
You're anti-dragon. It's like
Exactly, right? You chose violence, I chose protection. So anyway, welcome.
I'm 12. I'm sorry. Hello, welcome to Waking Up. I am Arugs, also known as Anna. Anna, also known as Arugs. I think it would be that way around. And this is my co-host. This is Sean, also known as Pep Pep. Nope, leaving that one right. I don't know. We're 12. It's fine. And this is
We
Waking
are
Up,
perpetually.
where we discuss our trauma, our religious trauma, growing up in the
Mhm.
Southern Baptist Church, and how we are deconstructing and reconstructing ourselves in our mental health. And we also just talk trauma and mental health shit. So it's not just we do have a religious trauma slant, but we have transitioned out of strictly religious trauma, though we occasionally slip back into it. So
It's
not the
always nice.
religious trauma the topic, but I mean there's uh,
You know,
so with that, let's do our disclaimer. So here on Waking Up, we are not here to bash anyone's faith or religion. We think faith and religion are beautiful things when done in a mentally and emotionally healthy manner. We are not licensed professionals. We are not therapists, counselors, life coaches, any of that. We are two people who are working through our mental health issues and discussing them on the internet. Everything said on this podcast is our own experiences, our own opinions. They are not anything of any type of founded. This is just our opinions and beliefs, and they can change and at any time for the more we grow and learn. If you do need professional help, we do have resources that we can give you that can help you get in touch with people that are licensed professionals and are people who can help you. You can contact us at NerdMomAce on any of the socials, and we will certainly get you in touch with, get you those resources that you need. Sean and I both grew up in the Carolinas and nice little buckle of the Bible Belt, Billy Graham territory. So we both grew up Southern Baptist. And that is, for those of you who don't know, Southern Baptists is an evangelical denomination of the Christian faith. There are, of course, a lot more denominations that are much more evangelical and stricter than ours. However, ours was, we don't minimize anybody's trauma or compare any of that. So it was a fun time. Yeah,
yes, fun.
whole thing.
It was a fun in the sun time.
Fun in this.
Fun Island, Sun Island. Yeah.
Okay, before we start, because this actually, our topic came from my in the middle that I did this past Monday. And I was like, oh, it'd be good to talk about stuff like that. Because Sean and I, though we started our journey, I started before him, but not too much longer. I mean, and we both had been in therapy for years and years, but we didn't start really digging. But we're both in different places because we're different types of people. Our problems are different, and how we approach our stuff is very different. So, I mean, just like any type of house renovation, progress is different. So that's fine. Just because we're different people and our personalities and everything that we deal with is different. But before we start getting into that, I was talking about religious trauma and being triggered and growing up in the South. Okay. So one of my favorite YouTubers is called Fundy Fridays, and she is a person, and she's branched out the bigger she got because I found her back when she first started. So like I've watched her channel and she's grown like exponentially. But she talks about Christian fundamentalism and she's all these things. And her now husband has gotten involved, and they talk about conservative politics and how that and not talking about it in the way like really like shining the spotlight of common sense on fundamentalism and right-wing politics and all that conservative politics. Again, we don't get political on here. I'm just trying to explain what their channel is about. So her newest post was about the purity culture. And it was an hour and a half long. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like something I know a lot about, something that I am like on board with, like not on board purity, but like I'm really interested in this topic. I got 15 minutes in and I had to turn it off. And I love watching her and her opinions on stuff, but I was so uncomfortable and got so fucking triggered just through the intro that I'm like, I can't watch the rest of this because I will physically get ill. Like, yikes. And it was an hour and a half long video. And I was like,
wow. That's a lot. That's a lot for considering how we grew up, especially you. That's a lot,
right?
I can totally see that.
Right, I like the purity.
That trauma hit hard. I mean, that
in that era, and they were talking, and like they were showing videos. They were showing like she was showing because she's really good about doing her research, especially. And she was showing like videos from the time and clips that they used to show us. They used to show us in church, and they used to show us all the time. Like, and all of these clips, and she was all of these interviews and I was like 15 minutes in, I went, I've got to stop because she was showing, and I was like, I'm going to be physically ill. That is how bad it traumatized me. That is how bad it sunk it. Because I think honestly, out of all of the things in my religious trauma, the purity culture sexuality one is the one that hit the fucking hardest because I, as somebody is bisexual and who is a sexual creature and who like it just all of these things, the shame and the guilt wound on that one.
Yeah, because it picked apart so much of who you are. It's like it's not just like scratching kind of the surface. It's not just like this thing you do. It picked apart at who you are as a person and your value and your worth and your that's nasty.
She said true love waits, and I was like, oh yeah,
God.
Yeah, like I might go back and watch it. See now that I am like mentally prepared for it, like mentally like, okay, I know this is going to trigger me and I'm prepared for being, I'm like, okay, I know this is going to be uncomfortable for me to watch, but I really want to see what her take is on that. But still, like I was not expecting it to trigger me that much. And I was like,
wow. Yeah. All right, go back to that one later. We'll put a pin in that.
So great. It was great. I couldn't get past the intro. Yeah. That's cool.
I saw one about the mental health, the conservative perspective growing up on mental health during our time. And I was like,
there wasn't a perspective. There wasn't a perspective.
Yeah. Mental health as a society, mental health was not taken seriously.
No.
When we were growing up. So to take that and double down on it within the church, that was even worse.
I was considered a troubled child because my mom had to take me to a counseling center when I was 9, 10.
Okay. You were troubled.
I was troubled.
You had the troubles.
No, I was damaged.
Yeah. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I was damaged, and I was the bad one from the trauma that she caused me.
Yeah. The damage wasn't your own. The damage was inflicted upon you. Yeah. We endured a lot.
Yeah, I've
growing
been
up.
in and out of therapy since I was 9. That tells you how deep this trauma goes.
I mentioned I was hanging out with my I was hanging out with my cousin the other day, and she grew up Methodist. Same area, similar area. She grew up Methodist, and we were talking about D and stuff, and I mentioned Satanic Panic, right, right over her head. She was like, she had never heard of that. I was like, oh,
What?
oh, yeah, she'd never heard of Satanic Panic. I was like, wow, okay, I didn't. That must be nice.
How did she grow up in
How
our
did she escape it?
generation and not know about Satanic Panic?
I'm guessing because she grew up in a family of girls
I grew
and
up in a family of girls, and it was worse.
not nerdy, geeky girls. It was very different. I don't know. I'm guessing. I don't know how. Honestly, I don't know how she escaped hearing about Satanic Panic. But yeah, she didn't know
You
what
know
it
what?
was.
No
I was like,
judgment.
oh
Good on
god.
LB. Good on her.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, I mean that's nice. It's what is it like to not have had that?
What is that like? Please tell me. I
Yeah.
need to know.
Tell me about that.
What's that? What is that like? So I mean, and we make fun of that all the time, but like,
Yeah.
I and when you do come across people who
Mhm.
are emotionally and mentally secure, I mean, everybody has their own different types of issues and traumas, and some are self-inflicted and
Mhm.
or situational
Yep.
that are outside of your family, and that's different. But it's like when I come across people who have really solid, great relationships with their parents and they had a good childhood, I'm like, it's like first I feel that ting of that twang of jealousy, like envy. You have something that I want,
Mhm.
and then it's like this morbid curiosity of what was that like? What was that like to
Mhm.
felt heard and loved and supported and what was that like?
Mhm. Yeah.
I
It's
mean, and I get
it
that now. Like my dad is very loving and supporting now, and I mean,
Mhm.
not to say that he wasn't then, but I think it was just because I was full time with my mom. The damage from my mom was so great that
You didn't
yeah,
Mhm. You didn't
it
get a lot of time with him. Yeah,
no.
it was very imbalanced.
Right. So I think I've always had that from my dad. It was just my mom very much did more damage than he could get with.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
yeah. Speaking of,
With my
go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was like I was thinking with mine, like I didn't I had a different quite different experience with my parents than yours, but like the result is I don't I was thinking about this. So I'm got I have I was offered and accepted a new job. Doesn't start for a couple months. My mom called me the other day, apparently to talk about the weather. And so I was like, I was like, I'm thinking I've got a new job. But did I tell her? No. Did I? Did I feel like telling her? Did I? I didn't feel like talking about it. I didn't feel like talking about it with my parents. I don't. I'm like I To me it's almost like a hassle. I don't. I'll talk about it with anybody else, but I don't have that. Like some people talk to their parents all the time. They have dinner with their parents all the time. Like their parents are this close personal.
I surprised my
They're
dad.
really yeah, you do. You have a great relationship with your dad
I did.
now.
I did.
With mine, I'm like I just I don't care. And I look at other people who have this positive relationship, um, whether they reconciled or whether they have always had it, and I'm like, what is that like to like want your parents to be a part of your life? Hmm.
You're asking the
And you're
wrong
right.
person.
There is. I know. Yeah. Well, I'm asking it out loud.
Well,
Like,
I
but
mean,
you're right.
I want my
There's
dad
like
a
a
part of my
twinge.
life. I like so I'm like 50-50 right
Sure.
now.
Sure.
Like but like
Yeah.
you asking the wrong person. I literally completely cut my mom off. So I mean uh
But there's a twinge. There's like a twinge of jealousy. Like,
but that is a
what is that
great
like?
segue into our
Yeah.
topic of renovations. Now, if those of you
Mhm.
who are don't know, so this started this imagery started back way back when I first started. It was a Roogs after hours or a happy hour, and then it turned
Mhm.
into in the middle, and it's still in the middle,
Yep.
but it's not on a regular because I am trying to I'm for my mental health trying to cut back on my streaming until I can get
Mhm.
to a better place, which is fine, and I'm okay. So when I do feel like streaming or I do feel like I need to verbally process, I just go live. I don't feel the pressure to keep a schedule. So on that one. But this all
Mhm.
started with uh, comparing me with all of the mental health stuff that I was working on. It's like renovating a house because you're having to, compared to the deconstruction, you're literally having to tear down and rip out everything that you had built up, thinking of your brain as a house.
Mhm.
And you like the structure. The fundamental part of it is good. You just all the shit that's inside just doesn't work. You like the bones are
Yeah.
good, everything else has got to
It's got good bones.
go.
Yeah.
So everything else has got to go.
Mhm.
So and that was like my mental health journey and my comparison is like throwing out the squatters, the people that are sitting there rent free in your brain and throwing that shit out. And I use
Oh,
that
I like
comparison
that.
and
Yeah.
how inviting people in there into you don't have to invite every
Mhm.
single person that you come across into your house. You don't have to. They can just
Mhm.
keep walking. And even if they keep trying,
Mhm.
you don't have to let them
You
in.
could leave 'em
And
at the door.
right. And how sometimes like
Mhm.
there are major renovations and that's working on your major traumas, like, ripping out the kitchen and then laying down foundation and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
that is where all of this started. And so I've through the past year and a half been using that, that analogy, that
Yeah.
comparison. And so our foundation of who we are starts with our parents, starts with how we were
Mhm.
raised.
Mhm.
And sometimes that foundation was not built right. And you got to go
No.
in and yes, it is possible to fit. You don't have to tear down the entire house to fix the foundation. It just takes a
Mhm.
lot of fucking work and it's really expensive and it takes a
It
lot of fucking
does.
work. But it's
Yeah.
possible to fix the foundation without tearing the house down.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
that's sort of where you eventually get there. But like, yeah, my parents
That's kinda like
didn't.
that's the deconstruction. Like,
Yeah,
I equate that the deconstruction to your foundation, trying to figure out where the gaps are, the holes are. What you thought was solid isn't solid, it's crumbling, and
right.
you've gotta reinforce it, rebuild it. You gotta figure out what it is, and how you're gonna fix it, and that takes a lot of work, and it's scary,
Yeah.
and it's you're constantly questioning, like, is this solid? Is this ground right here what I think it is, what it's supposed to be? Uh, and evaluating and questioning that
Right.
until hopefully you get to the point where you're like, okay, I've got my foundation set. I finished rebuilding the foundation.
Okay. So, but
Then
like
what?
our foundation is pretty much like, all of our core beliefs and our core of who we
Hmm.
are
Hmm.
and break, build, repeat, right? Right. So
Yeah.
I know for a fact that my foundation was all fucked up to hell. Like all it was
Hmm.
not solid. It was a lot of patchwork. It was a lot of just and I really had to spend a lot of time like figuring out where the cracks were and figuring out where the major problems were and then working on that and getting it fixed. And it's hard. And it's
Hmm.
you know, it digs deep. And it's all started like our foundation was built upon. But here's the other thing, Sean. We
Hmm.
were told growing up, because you and I both grew up in the church, that our foundation should be
Hmm.
Jesus.
Which is why it's crumbling when we go, I
Oh, we're
don't
like,
think
and
that's
we're
right.
done. So we're taking out the cornerstone of our entire
Ooh, the
you have one
cornerstone.
which is your faith and your religion. And then the
Yeah.
other cornerstone
Hmm.
is how you were taken care of as a kid, because that's your attachment
Hmm.
style, which also affects
Yeah.
in that your security and that affects all of that.
Hmm.
Well, as we know, since I have BPD and that's from trauma, especially familial trauma, that is like, mine just went and like everything started to like
Poof.
fall
Yeah.
apart. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah.
So
tearing
great.
it down, build it from the ground up.
But yeah, we were taught that
Hmm.
like our foundation should be Jesus and how fucked up that is. Like,
Yeah, that was a found. I kind of felt like there was a foundation based on. It was like an imaginary foundation. It was a strong unless we looked too closely at it. It seemed like it was strong, but was it really? Like, was it really strong? Was it really a solid foundation?
no,
Not really. No, it wasn't.
no.
It was kind of everything was like stacked on itself. I'm like,
It'll be fine. That's how
it's yeah,
that's called Bondo. No, if
yeah,
I don't you feel like that would be like anytime you feel like your foundation was crumbling and everything like that, your faith was crumbling or everything was waving,
yeah,
like you were told, no, it's just it's fine.
yeah.
It's fine.
You just you just gotta lean on Jesus. You gotta pray it away. You gotta I'm like that's where it was always. It never felt solid. It always felt shifting. It always felt like I was never trying hard enough because it always felt like it was shifting. I always felt like I was never trying hard enough.
And
I was
because it
never
was
doing
the
the.
foundation of who you were and it was
Mhm,
always shifting. You never felt like you were on stable ground as a individual because like I
mhm.
feel like that was always one where it was like I don't know like because it was just so much. It wasn't solid.
Well, like you try to put walls up on that shaky foundation, and like nothing fit right, nothing settled right, nothing. It always felt kind of flimsy, and so I couldn't get. I thought I knew who I was, but looking back at it, I'm like, that really wasn't what I. That was what I put up because I thought I was supposed to put that up. That was the wall that I thought was, well, you have a choice between this wall and this wall and this wall. All right, so I'm gonna put this one up. That wasn't really my wall. That was somebody else's wall. That here you go.
No,
Went
it
to my
was somebody
inventory.
going, you go, okay, you have the choice between this wall, and this wall, and somebody else going, you need to pick
Mhm.
that one.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
That no,
Someone's
you
like,
need to do
that's the
that.
way.
That's your
That's
choice.
yeah.
That's the
That's
one you need
that's
to
the
do.
best wall.
But I like this
Really?
one.
That,
No, no,
that's
no, you need to do that
no.
one. like
Yeah.
like your light and
Satan's telling you to pick that one.
oh my god, Satan's telling you. Oh Jesus Christ. If I had $1 for every time I heard that one, that's Satan. Satanic
Yeah.
panic.
Hmm.
But we are working on solidifying. I think right now I've done that. I think over the past
Hmm.
couple of years, I've really built a solid foundation for myself, and I've accepted like no, this is the right thing for me, and I feel settled. Like the feeling is like you don't feel like you're
Hmm.
on shaky ground all the time. You don't feel like you're one step away from falling apart or everything is
Yes.
like some big disaster or nothing feels very catastrophic as it used to. And that was a big thing because that feeling catastrophic,
Yes.
everything falling apart, feeling it was a literal, but like, and it manifests itself in anxiety.
Hmm.
And I mean, I'm not saying I'm not an anxious person because I still am, but the feeling of everything is going to go wrong or something's going to go wrong or any little thing that I do is going to cause everything around me, my entire world to fall apart, that's gone. And
Hmm.
I don't exist in that mental state anymore. So I know that my foundation, I had to do that work on building that foundation of who I am and my belief system. And by belief system, I mean the things that you think are true. And just
Hmm.
because you think they're true doesn't mean they're actually true. It's just, and we're not meaning religious faith either. It is absolutely, the belief system of I don't think I'm worthy of love. I believe
Hmm.
I'm always trash. I believe everything I do is wrong. Like that's a belief system.
Hmm.
So I don't feel that now that I have a very solid, like I don't live life like
Hmm.
in anxiety. Now, Sean, what about you?
I always felt like I was one strong wind away from like the whole thing just toppling over. I spent most of my time trying to keep this house of cards, this shaky foundation from just falling in on itself. And it got kind of weaker and weaker. And every once in a while, like I'd bondo it, I'd duct tape it, put something up, and it felt a little bit stronger. But then it was always it was always weak. And whether I never I wouldn't I hadn't admitted to it because it was like, oh, I just gotta believe more, gotta put my faith more, gotta. But it really, looking back, knowing what I know now, I look back and go, that was really flimsy. It was always about what I thought I was supposed to be or trying to be. I was trying to be happy. I was trying to be this. I was like, I didn't. There's a big thing. There's a big thing in growing up Christian where you're supposed to emulate like the love and the joy of God. The joy you're supposed to have this joy, and I was always searching for that joy, trying to that elusive, trying to like, why am I not happy? And
Okay,
and now,
go ahead.
mm,
Now what?
saying it well, and now like I'm not. My goal is not to find happy, to be happy, or to pretend to be happy. Now it's about doing the things I like, being who I am, and experiencing what I like, finding out that's actually the part where now that I'm not just constantly stretching and trying to find and grab a hold of that joy, I'm actually finding myself happier than I used to be when I was constantly trying to find it.
So, okay, I am going to call back something that you said at waking up a
Okay.
long, long time ago.
Oh God. Okay. Have you been going back and watching those? Please stop.
Please stop watching the content and reviewing our growth. Okay, sure. And the answer is no. Okay.
No.
It's my channel and I'll do what the fuck I want.
Survey says.
Survey says, fuck you. All right. So,
That's exactly what should have happened on the show. Sorry.
so you said one time, you
Mhm.
don't know what it was. You didn't know what it felt like to live a life that you didn't feel a constant state of anxiety. Do you still feel that way?
Not as much. I do have moments where I don't feel that way. I still have periods of time where I do. Because that's a big part of what I'm working on in therapy is dealing with those things. But I can say that I do know what it's like to be able to just sit. Here's what Let me connect this to one we've been talking about recently, the productivity trauma, right?
Listen,
Sorry, I
Hooker.
know, I know.
Listen, Hooker.
Hold
We
on.
don't need to bring up my conversation from yesterday. We do not need to bring up our
But
conversation from yesterday.
I've fault I have dealt with the productivity trauma and a lot of people deal with the productivity trauma. I can't I have to always be productive for anyone that isn't familiar with it. Um that was a big thing for me. I never felt like I could be unproductive, like gaming. Relaxing wasn't a choice for me. I feel like I've done I still it still hits me sometimes, but I think I've done a lot better with that that guilt, the productivity guilt. So, because I find myself like I work, whether it's in the house or I work my job. I'm like, I'm done. I'm gonna just sit here for a couple hours. Like I used to feel incredibly guilty. I should be doing something, and now I'm like, no, I'm just gonna sit here and watch TV or whatever. I don't feel that guilt nearly as often. It still happens, but not nearly as often as it used to. So like that anxiety that I used to have doesn't occur as frequently. That's why I bring it up, is because
Uh-huh.
the anxiety that comes from
Uh-huh.
productivity. Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that answers your question.
Uh-huh.
You're like, darn you.
No, I mean, I
Yeah.
get that. I
So.
get that. But
Mhm.
okay. Well, we're at very different places in our renovation.
Mhm.
I still feel like you still got some major renovations that you're still working on. Like, I'm
Mhm.
not gonna speak for you, but I mean, I feel like I've done a lot of the massive, like, tearing down walls and refitting shit. But
Mhm.
there, like I said the other night, is like I feel like a lot of it now is just like smaller projects. It's not anything
Yeah.
major. Do you feel that way?
You're
Where do
not
you
you're not
feel like
knocking down
where do you feel like honestly, like I don't know, like I don't know. So I'm at like I feel different, but you may feel differently. Aw, thanks, Nev.
yeah. Oh, thanks,
Hi,
Nev.
Nev.
Um, yeah, I still feel like the one I'm kind of dealing with now, I think is a big part because it ties into different pieces. The Yeah, I still feel like there's some major renovation going. I don't feel like I'm necessarily demolishing things. I'm now like trying to rebuild. It's like a slow rebuild process.
Gotcha.
Um, it's like, okay, so we're gonna try to do this. Yeah, I've identified these things, we've knocked stuff down. I'm all right, we're gonna try to build it this way and let's see. And then okay, so that work? Does it not work? All right, if it doesn't work, let's try this new technique, this building technique. Um and accepting the result of that. That's one thing he's been stressing to me is you can accomplish your goal with you can accomplish your goal in different ways. Just because you don't do this doesn't mean you haven't made progress. Doesn't mean, you can have multiple goals. This can be progress and this can be progress. It doesn't have to be one thing.
Two
Um
things can exist in the same space? Stop
right,
it.
I know. That's
That
probably one of the
whole
biggest lessons
radical
I have
acceptance?
learned through all of this.
Have
Two
you
things
learned it?
can be true at the same
Have you
time.
learned it? Have you learned it? No, you've
Yeah,
learned it. Have you accepted it? Get
not
it?
always. Sometimes.
No, radical
Exactly.
acceptance actually is very, very difficult. And I don't, that is, it is
Yeah.
a thing that is a constant, that is a constant tool that is always it's like
Mhm.
having that radical acceptance, even though, because radical acceptance is very uncomfortable because our brain wants to go, one thing has to be right. There's a right and a wrong. There's a good and a
Mhm.
bad. Everything is a bipolar on that. Like you're one or the other. And it's not. It's both. And you're like,
Mhm.
your brain struggles with that. Or at least mine
Yeah.
does.
Growing up, we learned everything was black and white.
Yeah.
All of our lessons were very black and white. It was very heaven or hell. It was very good or bad.
Yeah.
There wasn't nuance. There wasn't gray area.
Yeah, you're right.
So I especially learned to look at things. So we've had this conversation about how difficult it is for me to accept two things at once, to accept that there is nuance, that there's gray area,
Excuse me.
that has been a very tough lesson, to accept that gray area, to accept that nuance,
Just accept.
to
Period. Just you could just
just
end
to
it there.
accept, yeah, just to accept, accept other people, accept myself,
Oh, that's a
accept
hard one. Isn't that the harder one? Like
accept.
accepting other people
I think
is
accept.
the hardest. Like, is it
Hmm.
easy? Like, it's hard, especially when you're trained. Your brain is
Yeah.
trained to reject certain types of people and things and whatever. But
Hmm.
like, that's an easier thing to accept than accepting yourself.
It's easier to give other people grace than it is to give myself grace.
Oh, I still don't give myself grace. That's like a thing. My therapist all the
So it sounds
time.
like you're still working on something.
I feel like you need to, give yourself a little grace, Anna. I'm like,
Oh God.
what's her name? Can I have her number? Like,
Yeah. Who's grace?
who is she? Is she cute?
Yeah. I mean, there you
And then she'll look at me
go.
because my therapist is also
Because you're
bisexual.
12.
She'll
You're
look at me
12.
and she's like,
I kind of do this. I could do the same thing.
I,
But yeah, mine tells me about mine's all the time. You're like, dude, you gotta, because like I'll say, okay, so my goal is to do X. He's like, yes, that would be great, but it doesn't mean that you failed if you didn't do that. Even if you don't do that, it's still success if you do this other thing. Like,
so
what?
goals, not plans?
Shut your face. You can stop now.
Oh, no, no,
I
no.
told you to stop watching it.
No, no, no. And for those who are
That
new here, that has been a constant argument between Sean and I.
was like our first
Our
big
very first,
argument
like,
since we rebooted.
huge argument,
Oh
like huge,
man.
versus the iPhone Android fight. Like that's
That's a whole
totally,
different thing.
that's a whole
That
different.
one will never.
This one was like Sean and I were very, very
Uh,
passionate in our stance and about goals versus plans. And it was, and first off, I went back and watched goals versus plans. Like it was,
your
it's,
your solo.
yeah, that was painful. It's
Oh,
painful. Like that part of my streaming life is very painful because it's so fucking rehearsed and it's so polished and it's so not
it is.
me. I'm like looking at, I mean, it was me then, I guess, but it's just like it lacks
Hmm.
all of my personality and just like this. Anyway, but the plan,
Yeah.
the whole thing of plans versus goals
It's still
is,
on YouTube.
it is still on YouTube. It is still, oh, it's so bad. And after that, you should find the live stream of me reacting to all my old videos because I react to that
Oh,
one. Oh,
that's good. Yeah.
it's so good. My reaction to my old videos, and I did that one. But the whole thing about goals versus plans is that
Hmm.
plans are the step by step guide. You have a plan. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this so that I can achieve this. And a goal is I want to reach this. And how I get there may look like this, and it look like this, or it might look like this, but where
Hmm.
I'm still wanting to get here. And but plans is a step-by-step guide, and if I don't hit those benchmarks, it drives me nuts.
Hmm.
But he was like, "No, you have to have a plan. How can you not, how can you reach where you want to go without a plan?" I'm like, "Trust me, I because I used to have
How do
this
you know if you've achieved it? How do you know if you're successful if you don't have a plan?
right. If it's not exactly how you thought it would be, how do you know you're supposed to get
Yeah,
there?" And but I think,
exactly. How?
yeah.
Hmm.
But I used to have that I used to have that ideology too. And then life kept constantly throwing things at me where it's like I achieved my goals. It just isn't exactly how I planned them. And just like you're working with
Hmm.
your therapist, like now, I mean, I did that years ago, but it was like
Hmm.
understanding I achieved what I wanted to do. I just didn't get there how I thought it was going to get there.
Hmm.
And so it was just like that. Sean
Yeah.
fought. We were screaming at each
It was
other. It
it
was
was pretty bad.
bad.
Yeah, I was determined. I was like the IKEA instructions. You have to have your IKEA instructions. You got to go step by step. You got to how do if you know where you to know where you're gonna go, you got to have a step by step plan on how to get there.
Not using
Otherwise,
MapQuest, using GPS.
MapQuest. Oh my god. Um, and you're like, no, no. Oh my god, yeah, it was pretty
Because
bad.
I was wrong.
So,
There is no way.
oh yeah,
How do you feel about that now,
yeah.
Pep Pep? How do you feel about that now?
Um, you were wise. You were wise beyond your years. No, it really did like it kind of broke my brain a bit to think like that. An old school.
What,
Oh my god, an atlas.
oh my God. Oh, wow.
Jeez.
Oh, now my brain's broken.
Whoa.
Made me feel
Yeah.
old.
Oh man. But yeah, that was a kind of the conversation kind of broke my brain because I was like so bent on this. The only way to get there is to know step by step
Right.
and to accept that you could get there another way. To accept that just because just because you have a plan doesn't mean that that's the right way to get there or that's where you should be going to begin with.
Or the
Like,
only way.
okay, so I accomplished my plan. I stepped through step my plan and I got to where I wanted to be, but is that where I really was that the right thing for me? Was
Right.
that where I so I accomplished it, but now where am I? Am I better off now than I was? I did not allow for any variables. I didn't allow for things to be different than what I expected them to be.
Which then in turn like causes anxiety and control issues. Like when something
Mhm.
doesn't go how you expected or how you want it.
Ooh.
So that in turn,
Yeah.
the next time around when you're trying to follow your plan, you are very much either emotionally, mentally manipulating yourself or
Mhm.
others or situations or all of those things to get the result that you need to get. So that you and that there are no surprises and none of that. And that becomes very exhausting mentally and emotionally for I know it was for me. I don't I want to speak
Yes.
some
Yeah.
people
It
are
is.
think that way. Some people are very analytical and that's how they have to function. Like,
Mhm.
especially those maybe who are on the spectrum and that stuff. And I am not discounting that that may work for some
Mhm.
people. Did not work for me and does not work for me
Yeah.
because I have to accept the variables. I have to accept that life is going to throw me a curveball and hit me square in the head and I'm gonna get knocked on my ass and that I've got to learn how to accept where I am and accept that this is okay. Here I am. Now what am I going to do? Like instead of falling apart and sitting here going, this is not working out how I planned, going, okay, this is what got thrown at me. How am I going to adjust so I can still achieve what I want to achieve?
Mhm.
So,
I was very fixed. I was very this is the way it has to happen.
this is the way.
And if it doesn't happen this way, this is the way. Yeah.
Actually, that's also a part of radical acceptance is saying this is the way it is.
Mhm.
And I always used to go, this is
Yeah.
the way. This is the way. I just have to accept that this is the way and I can't change it. This is the way.
Some wisdom in that Star Wars, that Mandalorian.
Thanks,
Mhm.
Bando.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Exactly. My life was not like that. I recall whenever my plan, whenever things did not go to plan, I was
No,
like
no, I do not.
Hannibal from the A Team. Love it when a plan comes together.
Bando, do you know the way? I do
Yeah,
not. I have no idea.
to San Jose, and if I miss that left turn at Albuquerque,
Get the fuck out. Get out.
what? No. Oh,
I love your pun. I love your
yay!
puns. I'm just like they are very
Put them in
clever.
there. I
They
like the
are very
spice
clever.
of life. Just like to sprinkle them in.
Yeah. Sometimes it can
Mhm.
be too much, like salt. Just too much salt.
So
Mm.
a little bit sometimes it's too spiced. Yeah.
um,
Oh man.
yeah, I think now I'm just in a very different place. I think you and I both in that.
Mhm.
I think, but also it has to do with our how we approach our problems, and it's that comes with our personalities and just who we are. And I think that that doesn't negate your growth or my growth, or one is growing more than the other. I think it's one of
Mhm.
those because we have different traumas, we have different issues, we have different houses, and to
We
renovate those
do.
houses, it takes you have to approach it differently. Not every house renovation is the same. So the progress
Yeah.
is different. And that doesn't mean that you've made more progress or less progress than me. I think it's just a different place and just
Mhm.
what needs to be, renovated and changed versus and how many squatters we had in our head.
Yeah. Yeah. Goodbye.
I'm
You
just
getting out.
I'm just saying
Ah,
I may have had squatters. They were big ones, but I had less than you. I think.
probably. Yeah. Um you're talking about having different renovations,
That's
different points
fair.
in a yeah. Just so as long as the Lannisters don't
But they
say,
always pay their
God,
debts.
yes. They yeah, but how? That's the problem.
Listen,
Um
as long as they're living, as long as they're not living in debt, that's fine.
um you're talking about, us having different parts of our renovation. The one of the things that I've had to work on through this journey is to not look at someone else's renovation, not look at like your renovation and go, "Oh, well they're renovating that. They're she's renovating her bathroom. I should be renovating. Why am I not renovating my bathroom?" Or she's already finished her kitchen reno. Oh my god, I haven't even started my kitchen. This is like, and to look at it negatively. Look at it as, keeping up with the Joneses in a way.
Mhm.
Um, while someone else is working on theirs. That has been difficult. To accept where I'm at. Comparing is bad. Yeah, absolutely.
Nev,
Uh,
living in debt, you mean the American dream? Facts.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, that is. Yeah, comparing your journey to someone else's journey. Comparing my journey to someone else's journey is bad. But that's something that I dealt with early on. When I was really the last couple years is wondering why am I not why is my reno not going at the same pace? Why am I not working on the same things? Just comparison all around.
Yes, but did you see my cat? She's just being she was literally sitting over on her little perch all by
Hmm.
herself, just fine, minding her own business. She just
She
decided,
needs her screen time. Hmm.
apparently, she just knows. I think that
Yeah.
that's a big thing, and I think that um, we have to remember that you can still have inspiration for a reno.
Hmm.
So, like, this
Yes.
person did this to their bathroom and go, "Oh, I wanna do that. That looks really cool.
Yes.
This is sort of what I want." And, seeing all the different type, because like, there's
Hmm.
home and garden TV for people who love watching that, or the magazines, or all of the
Yeah.
that's, "Oh, I wanna do that. Ooh, that looks really cool." Like, I want, or I would like, can I do that? Is that something I can do? Or is it,
Yeah.
I think it's a double-edged sword in that, is
Hmm.
comparative, like, I wanna do
That's
that.
true.
That's what I wanna do. But then
Hmm.
going, "Well, it might not possible to do it the same way, but maybe I can do something similar that works for me."
Yeah.
You know?
Hmm.
I think you, but you're
Yeah.
right. It's that comparison of, why is this not getting
The
done
same
fast enough
result.
or the same results?
Yeah. Yeah. Like our houses are in the same development, so they're built really similarly, but there's still differences. And so I look and go, well, why am I not renovating as fast, or why am I not renovating in the same way? And that's not going to happen. That's just I like the idea of taking inspiration and going, I can do that, or that I like that technique, or I want it to look like that. But accepting that my renovation is going to look like my
Metaphorical.
renovation and nobody else's.
We're just gonna, how
Yeah,
I,
metaphorical.
nerdy will, like, we're talking about, like, that the symbolism I use, for my mental health is building a house and renovating the house,
Hmm.
and doing those things, and having squatters in your house, and all of the things that you need to do. But
Both could be.
technically.
Yeah.
uh, so yeah.
Yeah, here's an extension of the metaphor. You start renovating one section of the house, and you realize that in order to reno that section, you have to reno that other section too. And then you're like, "Oh, geez, really?" Now that's what I feel like. It becomes to me, it can become quickly overwhelming. Uh,
Sorry,
oh,
nerdy.
hey, he subscribed though. He subscribed it to run.
Yay.
Yeah, ads suck. Um, Look like your original Gothic. Yeah, no, you can't. I don't think you can really do that. Um, but it can become overwhelming to start renovating one section and then realize you have to renovate another section as well in order to renovate that first one. There's something that connects the two of them together. Um,
Yeah, but in
and then
that,
you gotta go.
oh, sorry. Go ahead. I have
Mhm.
something to say about
No, no, I'm
Nev's
done.
thing.
Go ahead.
No,
Oh
you're.
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm very ADD. Apparently, this weekend I'm like
Nope,
uber ADD. Like, I keep interrupting, and I'm like, oh, okay. My bed's
no, that's
not
fine.
kicked in.
If
So,
it makes you feel any better, I think I forgot to take my meds this morning.
oh, sweet. All right. So, we're a neurospicy. We're a neurospicy
Oh,
show today. All right.
we are
Cool.
neurospicy today.
Shoom, watch it go. Uh, yeah, no, like, Jay's actually renovating his house, like, legit, like, real life renoing his house.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's um
Oh my
but
god. I'm sorry, Jay. That sounds like fun.
when Nev said you can't make your old Dutch colonial look like their original Gothic mansion, and it's having to,
Mhm.
and I think that's also a very large part of a thing that I had to work on, is accepting, because I spent a lot of my life, why am I not a Gothic mansion? Why am I not
Mhm.
this? just absolutely like pristine, you know, $50 million home, if we're putting that. Why am I not this thing? Why am I this? Why am
Mhm.
I why and um having to accept that and learn to love the person that I am, and learning to
Mhm.
love and accept that this is my home, and that this is where I can't this is I've got this until I'm 6 feet underground, or spread my ashes spread to the wind or whatever. This is my home, and I can keep constantly wishing that I was something else, but my foundation, I can like try to make it look like a gothic mansion, but in reality, the bones are still going to be that Dutch colonial mid-century whatever home. And
Yeah.
so why not accept that this is my home?
Mhm.
This is the house that I was given. This is the house that I have. This
Mhm.
is who I am. And accept that and embrace that, instead of trying to make it something that it's not, building upon and making it the best of what I have,
Mhm.
improving upon the foundation that I have, instead of trying to wish that it was something different.
Demolish. Yeah. That's a good point. Because will you ever really be happy? Will it ever really look like that other house, that Gothic? Probably not. Will you constantly be trying to make it look that way and constantly be unhappy that it does look that way? Yeah, probably. If that's the comparison you're constantly trying to make. Um, they're talking about Jay's renovations. Oh God.
He's been doing that for years, though. Years.
Yeah. I mean, is it ever? Yeah. See, that's a good point. Do you ever stop renovating? Is
No,
there ever a point where you?
no,
No.
because you're always
No.
fixing something. Because time.
There's always something that needs to be fixed.
Because
Yeah.
time.
Because by the time you renovate and you're renovating, by the time you finish all this stuff, then that other thing has to still ends up being old and having to be fixed and
And
touched up.
and you grow and you change and taste change. And it might not be a massive
That's true.
renovation either. Like you just
Yeah.
okay, let's take the kitchen example. Okay, you renovate
Mhm.
your kitchen. It's a massive renovation and everything is perfect and beautiful, exactly how you want it. 10 years later,
Mhm.
you're like, "Oh, what was I thinking? I need to repaint the cabinets, or I need new countertops because this ain't it." Like, you
Mhm.
don't want to do massive
Yeah.
renovations, but little ones, little adjustments over time. Or,
Mhm.
over
Mhm.
time things break or fall. Like, it's maintenance, it's change, it's accepting the change. And 1970s and the 2024s, you're like, ew. No.
Mhm.
We do something about this. Thanks. It's time.
Yeah. And you can make some. Yeah, you make some changes, or as Nev said, you can change the decorations. There's some of those things that you can do, so you can make it look a little bit more like something else that you want without having to change the bones of it.
Right.
So yeah,
But it's still accepting the fact that the bones are the Dutch colonial,
they are what they are.
and making
Yeah.
the adjustments for the acceptance of that.
Yes. Massive renovation of the kitchen, and now the dining room looks worse than
Who
it
has a
did.
dining room
Yeah.
still? I use my dining room
That's
I use my dining
uh-huh.
room as a workout slash piano slash kids computer room. Like, you go through the little hallway between the kitchen, and it's not a dining room. It's a freaking workout room. I feel like you walk in, that's the first thing you see.
I heard that homes are getting smaller than they used to be. Square footage is getting smaller. And in the report, it said the reason they're getting smaller is because some of those elements that are the traditional elements, like a dining room, are being nixed when they're building houses now, because younger people don't want to pay for it and they don't care about it. They're getting rid of some of those smaller elements that aren't really useful. So yeah, there you go. So you don't even need it. Just get rid of it. Repurpose it.
I love how we are switching back and forth between this
We are
comparison. Yeah.
physical, metaphorical.
Yeah.
Dining
The
room. Oh, you
tabletop
mean
table.
table? See, yes, Nev,
That
exactly. Repurposing.
if I had more people that lived near me that would tabletop with me, I would absolutely transition that room.
So, yeah, I got lots of rooms. I would repurpose all of them.
You have like that one room that's
Mhm.
almost like completely empty that becomes my office whenever I like have to work when I'm in Charlotte. Like,
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, you have an office in this house whenever you're in town.
yeah.
The breakfast yeah, there you go. See, everybody's kinda got that one space, that one room,
Yeah.
but that is mhm, absolutely.
Okay.
So,
What is okay? What is one renovation? We'll ask each other these questions. What is one renovation that
mhm,
you've seen I've done that you didn't know how it was going to turn out, but in the end turned out okay?
that you've done?
Yeah, that you've seen through me. Because I don't want to see like thinking yourself. Like I want you to like
Okay. Um, your your reliance on external validation.
you didn't know how that was going to turn out.
Well, not that I didn't know how it was gonna turn out, it's just it's something that I've watched you do. I don't know if there's anything that I've seen you that, any renov that I've seen you do that I didn't know how it was gonna turn out. That seem that to me, I'm like, as I watch your renos, I'm like, "Yeah, that makes sense. I know how that's gonna I know what's gonna happen." So I wouldn't say there's anything that I don't know how it's gonna turn out. Is there something about me that you didn't know how it was gonna turn out? Apparently there
No.
is, that's why you asked the question. No?
Never.
No?
Never.
Okay.
No,
No?
no. Mm.
No? Okay.
I'm just kidding. Honestly, I think that the external validation thing is the big thing. The self confidence, like, yeah, that constant need for approval.
Mhm. Yeah.
That
Nerdy will also think I need to be asking you how my renos will end up.
I
Um,
know, because it's like, oh, I know how it's gonna turn out. You fucking liar. You don't know how any of it's gonna turn out. But I honestly, I think it's the same thing. It's the validation. But I think that
mhm.
I mean, that's honestly one that you and I both share. That was definitely a big trauma that we
Yes.
both shared. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, 'cause I was very much that I need someone out, I need someone else to tell me this. I need someone else. What and at the same time where I craved that external validation, I also didn't accept the external validation. I wanted it, but I didn't exactly like I heard it but then I wouldn't accept it as as I wouldn't replace my own how I saw myself, but I wanted it at the same time. Does that make sense?
yes.
Like if so, yeah.
I think that honestly, you have stopped you used to do this all the time and it drove me nuts. And I used to call you out on it too. It was that whole
What?
I know me calling you out on shit. Stop it.
No,
I think
so
it was like
fair.
the big thing is you would ask leading questions to try to lead me into that validation, that lead me into the
Mhm.
compliment. And you would get frustrated or really depressed if I didn't. If I didn't follow, because I knew what you were doing, so I would like not do it.
Mhm.
And or like these leading questions, and you're like, well, what do you
Uh-huh.
think about it? Well, no. I want to know what you think. Well, why don't you make that choice?
Mhm.
Well, I mean, am I
But
making the right
it
choice? It's your choice. Like you wouldn't
Oh god.
and I like you would get
Yeah.
so upset and hurt and like and I'm
Why
like,
won't you tell me?
right, why would you validate me? Because like it's not my
Uh,
job. You're just asking
you
me
would force me to rely on my own
you would ask me to
validation.
confirm your own thoughts. Like that was the big and you
Mhm.
stopped doing that. And I'm really like
Mhm.
that is a big thing cuz it was just like second nature to you. Like all the time.
Oh, it was. It was.
I'm really
I still have
tired and I really want to take a day off. Okay, so take a day off.
you know,
Am I doing the right
yeah.
thing? And like you would lead me into talking you into
I
it.
needed yes. And that actually came up in my therapy session recently. that dependence upon someone else, dependence upon especially you to validate what I knew I needed to or should do or wanted to do. And I was like, yeah, I feel like I was using people as a crutch.
Jay
But
calling
you
your
need
ass
someone to
out.
tell you to. Oh my god! Thanks, Jay.
That one's
Thanks,
gonna
appreciate
live
that.
in infamy forever. For those of you who don't know, I literally stood with my no, it wasn't with my children at that time. Like he
That
was
was a
like
coffee cup.
that was the coffee cup. Oh my god, Donnie, like still. But he needed a new headset. His old headset kept cutting out. And he's like, oh man. I was
Mhm.
like, so here's this new headset. Oh, it was a whole argument. Like he needed it.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's
Mhm. And
really good.
I needed it, and I knew I was gonna get it. I wanted to get it, but I wasn't allowing myself to get it, and I needed someone to talk me into. I needed someone to give me permission to do it.
And then when I gave him permission and told him to get it, he still argued with me.
Yes. Yes.
That was fun.
Yeah. Uh
Fun
huh.
times. So great.
Yeah. See, and this isn't a one-off. That's the thing. It's like, well, I mean, that happens. It wasn't a one-off. This was
Everything.
constant.
Everything.
Everything was a fight. Everything was an argument. Everything was this back and forth until one day you looked at me and went, "This is exhausting."
I set my
Yeah,
boundary. I was like, I'm fucking done.
you did. You did. Yeah. You're like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. This is exhausting.
Yeah.
This back and forth
And
is.
here's the beef, folks.
Mm,
Here's the beef. It was always when it had to do with him. Like it was like, take care of yourself. Do the thing that you need
mhm,
to do to take care of yourself, or that you need, or that you even occasionally that you want. You work hard. Reward yourself every now and then. It's okay.
mhm,
It's okay to do these things. You're not selfish. You're not self-centered. You're
mhm,
doing the things that you like. You're not stupid and you're not irresponsible. So that like you if you can afford it, it's not going to put you in financial strain. Buy it. Do the thing. Go out. Do the like whatever.
mhm.
But everything was a fight. He would fight with
Yeah.
me, and, like, he'd wanna do it, but it was always a fight.
Mhm.
And you know what? That's a big
Yeah.
renovation. That was that whole new
That is.
because you now
Yeah.
take the days. I just wanna take the day off,
Yes.
and I'm like, "Good for
Yeah.
you." And you don't ask me, "Is that
Yeah.
okay?" Is
Or
that you just tell me. Just like,
yeah.
"Okay."
Or buy the monitor. I told you, "Hey, I'm gonna separate my office, my work, and my personal computers. Separate rooms, separate time." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna need another monitor." Now, I didn't expect you to necessarily do this, and I appreciate that you did, but it wouldn't have changed anything. Like I said, I think I need a new monitor, and you went and you just happened to be on Best Buy, and you were like, "Oh, how about this one?" And I was like, "Oh, cool, I like it." Bought. There was no argument. There was no. If you hadn't done that, I would have found one. But like, it was so not what it used to be. It used to be back and forth, and until I finally was like, "Okay, fine." Or you'd be like, "Either you buy it, or I'm buying it for you." No, yeah. So
Look at you caring
that has
about
been a big
yourself,
renovation.
loving yourself. Look at that.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, so that's been a big renovation for me. And so you had validation. That was a big renovation for you, but just in different ways. You didn't necessarily have that, but you would often ask me what I thought about certain things. And you're really worried about like, well, how is this? How is that? Like, how is my stream? That was a big concern for
Oh,
you
the
is
stream was how I did in public in my
how
stream.
you did, how you came off, how you felt. And it was you needed that validation that your stream was, something or you didn't come off a certain way or you did. That was pretty common. And to the point where like and then you just were like, you know what, I don't know. I mean, would you do you like I just don't need that anymore? You just kind of came to the realization that how did you
Oh god, I don't even know how I got to
did it
that.
just kind of happen?
Yeah, I think that came about a little less like cuz you usually have to have like a fix. So with your like needing to buy these things like I think for
Mhm.
me it was one of those I fixed one thing and it fixed something else. Um
Yeah.
so
Okay.
in
Makes sense.
that in me working on accepting my foundation and accepting
Mhm.
uh that I'm allowed to be good, that I'm allowed to be bad, that nothing about that
Mhm.
changes my value as a person. And I think that that was the big turning point in that is is me seeing the value in who I am. And over
Mhm.
as I worked on that over time, it literally spread into different areas. So, like, my value of if I
Gotcha.
have a shitty stream that's a little boring or runs in circles or whatever, it is what it is. That doesn't change my value as a person. If I have a really
Mhm.
great stream, that doesn't, I mean, yeah, that's great. And I need to be proud of that. But at the same time, it, again, doesn't change my value as a person. And I think when I was asking that,
Mhm.
it was very, and when I needed the validation, it was that desperate need to be a valuable member of the streaming community, a valuable member. Just
Mhm.
if I'm boring or if I have like low views or I have whatever, then that must mean that I'm not doing as good. And understanding that doesn't change who I am as a person, and that doesn't change my value. It just means
Mhm.
I had a maybe I had a shitty stream. I had a shitty stream, or maybe I had a
Mhm.
great stream. But whatever.
Yeah. Good.
Just that it I think that that's where that stopped. Is like people like I stopped asking, "Oh, how was that?" Okay. If I think it was shitty, I would think it was shitty. Somebody might think it was great, and they are two different opinions. And accepting that I what I might think was a crappy, boring stream, somebody might have
Mhm.
thought, "Huh, that was really thought provoking," instead of like just because I wasn't zany
Mhm.
or entertaining, and maybe I'm zany and entertaining and think I have a great stream, and somebody goes, "Oh, that was a lot," you know. I mean, everybody is different, but that doesn't,
Everybody has their own opinion.
and they do.
Mhm.
Again, still does not change the value as I am as a person, and I think that's the big when I worked on that renovation, that part of it, it really did
Yeah.
permeate into a lot of that. So,
Good.
yeah.
Awesome.
I mean,
Yeah.
who doesn't like to be validated every now and then? No, we're not saying that
Yes.
because you do need
Yeah.
validation. Validation, like we
It
a lot
is
of times we
nice.
turn that into a very bad thing, but it's not.
Mm.
Validation. There's no good and bad. So,
Asking for someone's opinion, someone giving you yeah, asking for someone's opinion, getting knowing that I'm having a lot of views and going, "Yeah, cool, a bunch of people watched that." That's not bad in of itself. It I think what matters is what, yeah, there was a great renovation project. What matters is what you do with that information.
mhm.
Like, okay, I had low views. Well, okay, let me think of ways that I can maybe increase my views. Cool, okay, but that has nothing to do with self-worth value as a person. And that's where we married because I did the same thing too when I started streaming. That was the thing for me is it's easy to marry the two. I had low streams, which means I suck at streaming or I'm not valuable. I'm not creating anything. No one cares. No one likes it. Like no one likes me. No one wants to watch me if I had low views. You have to split that. It's difficult to split that and go the way whatever my stream does is not me as a person. Does not change the value of me as a person. I had to talk that through with my therapist when I start because starting streaming was a massive thing.
Keep talking about this. I gotta pee.
Okay, so like when I was starting to like I had never streamed on my own. If you anyone that's been around for a while knows that I did all the behind the scenes and then I started doing the some of the streaming stuff, but I was never by myself. So when we started Team AoA and we're talking about new content, I thought the suggestion was, "Hey, Sean, why don't you do a stream?" Okay, hey, the idea came up Legos, and the thought of streaming by myself was absolutely terrifying. And of course, because it came up in one of my therapy sessions. It was talking about because it absolutely like the anxiety shot through the roof. I was like paralyzed. The thought of streaming by myself. So I had to talk through that. I had to talk through why I felt this way, what it explore that, and then remind myself repeatedly about what I had said. Because it's one thing to say it's one thing to say it in a therapy session. It's another thing to live it and to accept it. And
What?
so I yeah, and I still do that. I still have to remind myself that like when I after a stream and I look at the viewers and all that stuff, is to go, this is simply this is a number that reflects a fact. These people did this. These people watched. That's all this means. Is this is simply representative of a math. This is math.
And
Doesn't mean anything
it's
beyond that.
present time. Like, you have to think about it. Like, it's
Yeah.
timing and,
Hmm.
like, maybe how many people go back and rewatch or, like, and I
Yeah.
do because with Twitch, your videos go away after a certain number of time. That's why I live stream, like,
Hmm.
especially our waking ups or in the middles.
Hmm.
I put that on YouTube because that goes forever. And some of those, like, get
Yeah.
watched and, like, years down the road.
Yeah.
Somebody might find it and go, "Oh," and watch that, So,
It
I
may mean
mean,
something. Yeah. Yeah.
but
Thanks, Ernie. Will, I appreciate that. He says proud of you for streaming despite that.
I
Thank
know.
you.
He's actually really good.
Oh, thanks. I
Look at it.
appreciate that.
Oh, my turn now, bitch.
Ah, dang it. You did say I'd pay for it last time, so I mean it was fine. Yeah. Um,
Oh, I love you, Nev.
joke. Oh my God, Nev.
Thanks
I
for
love your humor.
following.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I do.
Oh my
It's
God.
so funny. The puns, the puns.
Mm-hmm.
But
And oh, L Energy. Hey, L. Say L.
hello.
Yeah, L Energy.
Put your
It's a
glasses
metric,
on.
not a meaning of your life. Well, the problem is, it like okay. See, then it's blurry. I'm blind. I know. I'm so blind. Oh, pretty sure I don't have trauma, but I'm pretty damn mentally ill.
Well, yeah,
I
it's
mean,
okay.
yeah, you're in a good place. Yeah, we have a game that we play every once in a while called is it your personality or is it trauma?
Yeah.
It's uncovered a lot.
And yeah,
So
mental illness is like I have BPD, and I have friends that are bipolar, and Sean's got something.
I've got something. I mean, we're definitely neurospicy, both of us.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. So,
so yeah. Well, glad you're here. Glad you joined
well,
us.
welcome.
So
Welcome to our
mhm,
little Trauma Triscuit show. I feel
yeah.
like that's
Now
the
we
best.
have the trauma Trisket. I don't know. I think we have a new name though. We're now the trauma twins.
The Trauma Twins on
Yeah.
HGTV. It's our new
Forget the
renovation.
property brothers. We're
We're
the
the
trauma
Trauma
twins.
Twins. With our toolkit,
Renovating our
with
house
our mental skills
with.
toolbox, with our little
Oh
toolbox.
God. See now I need a little toolbox that says neurospicy on it.
Yes, that's it. No.
Uh,
Okay, speaking of
Personality or something else. Yeah,
no,
yeah, you gotta be nerdy. Will you gotta be careful starting to peel that onion. You will. Yeah, you got to be prepared for that.
yeah, yeah. That started out as a. Have you heard of Jack's song?
Mhm.
No, I have not, but I need to
Flavor
look it up.
Town.
Yeah. I think the biggest. Now I'm gonna have to go look that up. Neurospicy.
Jax, I love Jax. Jax's music is great.
I know. I can make that happen.
Jay, yes. Oh my god.
But that started out as a joke. It really did. It
It did.
started out as a
Mhm.
joke. Honestly, I think on this podcast, it started as a joke. Is it my
Pretty sure it
trauma or
did,
is
yeah.
it my personality? And we did a show about
Yep.
that. But as it progressed in our, aka our renovation, in our intense, mental mental health journey, I don't know about you, but that stopped being a joke and actually started being a shit. That was a shitty realization of fuck, like what I really did think of, that was my personality. What I did think about, that's just, how many times you go, well, that's just who I am. It's not just who I am. It is my coping mechanism. It is the thing that I do, or the personality trait that I took on
Yes.
to survive. And I was like,
Survival mechanism. Yep.
what the fuck?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's like,
Anyone that has
this-
not begun peeling that onion, just be aware
Yes.
you will uncover things.
It starts out as a joke, and
Um,
it starts out as the cute little things of, oh, that's just trauma. And we do make that joke of, why do I do that? Oh, trauma. But it
yeah.
really yes, we joke about it, but in some aspects, it's not a joke. Like, and then there was just accepting that, yeah, I do that because it's trauma. I do it and understanding that, it's something I do because of trauma. It's not my it becomes your personality, becomes something that you do, and
Mhm.
some things you can, obviously you can, relearn how to
Work on.
work on.
Yeah.
And there are some things that
Recondition.
are just going to be how it is because that's what you did with your trauma and your mental health and your like
My therapist pointed that one out to me when I just got talk when I joked about it with him at one point. Um, he was like, "Eh, "Okay, so what if it is?" Um, and he pointed out that yes, sometimes yes, your personality is due to things that happened. That's just how life is. Some things you can work on, and some things you can recondition and fix, and some things are just are. Yes, it's because of your trauma, but it just is, and you just manage it as opposed to like completely reconditioning. So that was a tough one to accept. But
especially when you have
right,
mental illness. Like that's I think that's that
yes.
like a trauma based like BPD is uh I just have to accept that there are just some things that I'm going to do in a relationship, be it friendship, familiar, or whatever,
Hmm.
that I'm going to do. And I just have to
Hmm.
manage that. And I just have to
Yeah.
understand and be able to vocalize and say, okay, I need this, not because like I need this, not because I need you to fix me, but I need this because I
Hmm.
have this fear. And so, you know, that's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's a joke. We joked about it. And then when we started working, I was like, mm, mm.
Pretty much everything is a mix of joke and serious, and like we try to talk about this in a somewhat humorous way. It is deep stuff. It is difficult things that we talk about, but it doesn't have to be all heavy, and we try to talk about what our journey has been, the difficulties, the positives, and that's the thing is we talk about the positives and where we've gone and what we've overcome because it's important for us to recognize that
I think a lot of
and
people take our
accept.
humor
Mhm.
in a way that we're mocking it, and that's not it. I
Mm-mm.
think, and I think just our humor on that on this is just because it's hard, and it's hard, and sometimes you have to just accept that if you look at it, some things are funny. Like some things that you do, yeah, are based in trauma, but some things you do are just
Yeah.
like you have to just go laugh at yourself and go, what? Oh, hi. Like, and
Ye
yeah.
Mhm. Well, like me and gold retriever energy. Like, when that was brought up, I know, right? I fought that. I really fought that pretty hard because that didn't align with the way I saw myself. But I found the harder I fought that because I saw myself differently, the kind of the more miserable I became because because again, I saw myself differently. But when I said, "Okay," and I saw that term as a negative, a pejorative term. But
Look
when I
at you
started
using
to
those big
look at
words.
it, I know, right? So when I started to look at it differently and go, okay, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's just kind of a description of when I accepted that this is just kind of a funny, interesting way to describe it. This is who I am. These behaviors are who I am. The more harder I fight, the actual more miserable I became, and the more miserable I was making other people um,
That no,
because of it. So
that
yeah,
I think
life
that
is a trauma.
there's a
Yeah.
whole reason that like, there's that joke of, why you're so funny. It's like, thanks. It's my trauma. Like,
It's my trauma. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's because it's just I think sometimes the humor in it and there are places for it. Like, honestly, if there's somebody who's really struggling who or whatever, we do try
Mhm.
to validate and try to, like now it's not finding the appropriate places for it. But I mean,
Yeah.
comedy is like And humor is a neutralizer, I think. It's that because these subjects are so deep and hard and difficult to deal with, I think sometimes you have to find
Mhm.
that humor in it to just at least keep it manageable. It's that
Mhm.
neutralizer of like, because otherwise I'm gonna cry. So, that's why some people laugh
That
at funerals.
yeah.
Like that's really it. Sometimes your brain just needs to go, I need to laugh because otherwise I'm just gonna fall in this deep depression. And I need that chemical balance of like, trying to at least neutralize some of the pH in there.
Mhm. And some of what we've done, some of our past, the things that we did when we were younger, when we were at a different place in our lives, we look back at them. It's tragedy plus time. We look back and go, "Oh my god, I did that. Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah. Woo." Because we don't want to be too critical of ourselves. And kind of it is like looking back, like, oh God, that's funny. That's funny. And oh my, I
It's
can't
like
believe I did
looking back
that.
at your old yearbooks. Like, it's like looking back and you're going, what
Yes.
was
The
I
things that you
thinking?
wrote in your don't ever change.
Okay, so we're running near the end of the showtime. So I do
Okay.
want to know, like I could, and I want a serious thought question. And anybody in the chat, please feel free if you've done
Hmm.
this. So we talk about, because we're talking about renovating and yeah, all this stuff. But that requires tools. And,
Hmm.
as those of you who have been in intensive therapies, like you get the different tools to put in your toolkit that help you through situations. And what has been your most essential tool for you? Everybody's
Mm.
everybody's go-to tool is different, and that it all changes,
Yeah.
but there's one tool that you go to first. It's always the first one you reach for when you're either dysregulated or you're in a bad
Mm.
situation or whatever. That's the first tool you reach for, and if that tool doesn't work, then you go into your other ones. But everybody's go-to mental health tool, the first one, is different.
Hmm. Ooh, that's a tough question. Ah.
You want to know what mine is? While you think.
Yes, please. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Let me know what yours
All
is.
right. And honestly, it's the hardest one. It's acceptance. It's radical acceptance.
Mhm. Mhm.
That is my very first, not mindfulness. A lot of people go to mindfulness. A lot of people go to like all of the other
Yeah.
different things, catastrophic thinking, and how and change that, and then
Mhm.
different things. And especially it depends on your uh, theory of what your therapist is working with. Internal family
Mhm.
systems is like, okay, your first tool is to go to whose voice is the loudest, that type of thing.
That's mine. IFS. That's become my go-to.
See, mine was
Mhm.
DBT. And so I have to like, what's the skill set that I go to first? And it is radical
Yeah.
acceptance. Like, okay, I have to accept this is the thought I'm having. I have to accept that this is the situation I'm in. I have to accept.
Mhm.
And honestly, my second is just the facts. Because of my BPD borderline, my
Yeah.
emotions are going to take over more than my thoughts are. And my emotions are actually going to navigate what my thoughts are. And so I have to sit here and go,
Mhm.
no, no, no. I know I'm feeling this way, but what is the facts about this? But yeah, radical acceptance. One I go to before.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine is IFS. So anyone that doesn't know, internal family system. So it is about the parts of you. Some people call them the voices. It is the parts when you feel a certain way, when you experience something. It is a part that's saying that when you feel an emotion, there's a part of you that is speaking aloud. And so for me, a lot of times, what I'll do is when I feel a certain way. Okay, so what's that voice? What's that? Who's talking right now? And what are they trying to say? And why are they saying it? When I feel like when I feel anxiety. Um, yeah, when I feel anxiety, it's like where's that? What's the voice? What's that? I'm feeling anxious because there's someone that's saying something. There's someone that's afraid. A part of me that's afraid of something. There's a part of me that and so listening to that voice. Um, and not dismissing that voice. That's a big one. Is it's not going, okay, you can shut up now. It's okay, I understand that you're feeling this way. I understand. I hear you. That voice. You're afraid of this, and I understand that. That's what I've been going to a lot.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good tool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's taking time, but it's a good one.
because yours is
Mhm.
very IFS based. I mean, we've done part work
Yeah.
in my therapy, but I mean, it's very much
Mhm.
it's very leaned heavily between a mix of CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, and DBT because
Mhm.
they're based in the same. Um but my first one is acceptance. I have to accept that this is the way it is, or that this is the situation am I in, or these are the thoughts that I'm having, because my first
Mhm.
urge is to either try to fight it. Ooh, okay, like try to
Yeah.
fight it, try to argue with it, try to change it. And no, that puts me in a very anxious, like bad place. And so it's like,
Mhm.
okay, just accepting that I feel uncomfortable or mad or upset or whatever, and accepting that
Yeah.
this is the way it is, and what am I going to do about it? Like,
Yeah.
not letting things run over me, but just accepting there's some things I can't change, and some situations that just
Mhm.
are, and to let it go. That's that's hard,
Yeah.
and concentrate on
Yeah.
myself, not worry about the
Mhm.
external.
Yeah. Nerdy will usually try to escape my thoughts. You're sounding like the other option. Escape my thoughts and it's go
Actually,
ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
I'm gonna be Ted. Actually,
Encyclopedia. Go ahead.
actually, that is a dialectical behavior, the DPT
Mhm.
skill. That is a skill, and that is as it is distraction. That is a part of when you are in a state. Is like, okay, maybe I can't deal with that right now. It is okay. I need to separate myself and do something else, but it's doing something else. But the
Mhm.
difference being what makes it healthy versus unhealthy is, okay, I can't deal with this right now. I need to distract myself with something else so that I can bring myself to an emotional or mental capacity so that I can go back to it later. So it's not
Mhm.
necessarily, and so it's not just like Sean used to do, putting
Ignoring it. It's not shoving it down and just pushing it as far as it'll go.
and pushing it in a in a storage unit in a
And
box
putting it in a
somewhere and
box.
just
Yeah.
ignoring it. It's not that. It
Yeah.
is
Mm-mm.
I am not in a mental and emotional state right now where I can deal with this, so I'm going to regulate myself. I'll go to my superpower, but I don't think I have to do the follow. It's
Yeah.
very vital
That's
and
the trick.
important that you have to go back and you have to understand that
Yeah.
you have to at least address it, even though maybe the
Mhm.
issue's already resolved itself, or maybe, but address it and go, okay, there's a reason I couldn't deal with it. Why couldn't I deal with it? But it's resolved now. Okay, this is the
Mhm.
situation. Now I can move on. But it's always the follow up. You do have to go back to it. I think that that's the hitch and the giddy up.
That's the key.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
Can't
Absolutely. If you're
distract until
sometimes
you
you're
get
just
there.
so dysregulated that you have to distract from it and then go back to it. And yeah, to go back to it, that's the thing that I never did in my past. Was I would that would in which case if you're doing that, all you're doing is you're shoving it down and just letting it build up to
Uh,
the point of it pops.
my therapist had to teach me that my disassociation, because it is something I did
Mhm.
because of my BPD, but like my disassociation, um, because I keep telling her, like, sometimes when I get so upset and it's like, I don't want to disassociate, I don't want to disconnect, I don't want to disconnect, and have her having to go, sometimes it's okay to disconnect. It's
Mhm.
okay. You just have to make sure that you are aware of the disconnection, because sometimes your brain needs to rest and your emotions need to
Mhm.
rest. And that's the only way that your brain is going to allow that, is
Yeah.
to disconnect. But you just have to
Mhm.
remember and be aware, hey, I have been disconnected X amount of length of time. and just know when your period of disconnection becomes a little okay, that you've been disconnected long enough. Now we need to go back online. Like, but
Yeah.
it's okay to let your brain,
Eh,
and sometimes you just don't have to deal with it. Sometimes it's just overload, and that's okay.
yeah. Yeah. Your brain sometimes needs that point. So, um,
It works
yeah.
for me as I get older.
I mean, it makes
Unless you're
sense.
ADD like me, and then
Uh,
so we'll
yeah.
end on this funny story. We'll end on
All
this
right.
funny story. So yesterday, I was in a hyper focus mode, and I started to make cold brew, and
Hmm.
I put water in a pitcher, and it's like I have to go grab coffee out of my pantry. So I turn
And you
around,
made coffee, and that's the end of the story.
but
No, it's not, is it?
I walk to my pantry because I have an open concept. I walk to my pantry, open it up, close the door, look over, and realize my living room's really bright. You know what? I can move one of those lamps into the front room. So I threw my coffee on the counter and went and grabbed the lamp and moved the lamp. So I was walking back towards my kitchen. I see these flowers that are dying, and I'm like, you know what? I need to throw those out. So I went, took my flowers outside, threw them out, came back inside, and as I was putting the
Hmm.
thing back on the vase back on the table, I look over. My cat she started chewing. I was like, my cat needs more dry food, and I need to feed her some wet food, and I need to refill her water. So I was like, I started with that. And then as I carried her water container over, and as I'm filling it over, I look to my right and I go, I was making cold brew.
How's that coffee going? How's that coffee? Is it
It's
good?
great.
Yeah. And any of our neurodivergent folks knows exactly what that's like. There is so many and the fact that you stayed downstairs the entire time is actually pretty impressive.
Right?
For
Right?
so for me, it's like, oh, I've been meaning to take this upstairs,
I went
and
outside
then I
though.
get to go. Okay, this is kind of similar. But yeah, you complete in the course of one task, you ended up doing like five different tasks. That is so yeah. That your ADD was hard, running hard. Yeah, and of course, my follow up question is do you do the
Yes.
where you turn like 10 different directions because your brain is like this? No, wait, no, wait, no. Hold on.
No,
Okay,
but
well,
I don't
but
necessarily turn. I just do okay. And
I turn like I will step in like different directions as my brain prioritizes. I need to do this. Oh, but I can't do this until I do this. But no, I need to do. Oh,
we're a mess.
it's a mess.
Is that why I do that?
Uh,
Yep. Congratulations. Welcome to the Neuro Spicy
yeah,
world.
yeah. Wait, Nerdy Will, are you a late diagnosed neurospicy? Or do you know you're neurospicy? But yeah, that's absolutely a thing.
Yeah, the task lockup
Uh,
shuffle. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So
there you go. That's what it.
So I
Thanks,
know
Jay.
we
The
were talking all
task.
serious, but I thought I would end on something really funny. That one of those
Yeah,
things where I just sort of sat there, and when I was filling the cat's water, I looked over and went, "I just did the thing," and I thought it was
you
funny instead
did.
of like being real frustrated about like, I just, that
Uh,
was just something funny. I was like, "That's okay. That's where I'm at."
yeah, and that's important. I think it's good to be able to laugh at it instead of getting frustrated with yourself. Is to go, oh my god, I just did the thing. Oh
Yeah,
lord,
yeah. There's nothing
because
harmful. It was just funny
there
because
isn't.
it's like I literally
Yeah,
look over and there sat my water, that pitcher that started it all. So.
yeah.
Okay, I've got to hop
uh,
off here. I am actually
mhm.
going to go with my kids to go back to school shopping. They start middle school on
Ooh,
Wednesday. Well, actually,
that's so exciting.
my youngest hatchling starts middle school. She is absolutely
Oh my god.
terrified. She's excited but terrified because she's like, "How am I going to make
Sure.
friends? I'm antisocial and an introvert. How am I supposed to do that?" She literally said that to me. I went, "Baby, it'll be fine." I was like, "You have a friend per class." She goes, "But I don't like people." Well, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, but how do the rest of us introverts make friends? It's because usually the extrovert goes, "You're my friend now." That's how most of the people that are friends with the Roogs. That's how it happened. You're my friend now,
I wish
and
you
we
were
appreciate
wrong.
it.
I wish you were wrong, but literally 9 times out of 10, I have mostly introverted friends. I really do.
Hmm.
Because I go, I like you. We're friends now. And okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty
We
much.
need that. We introvert people need that extroverted friend who says you're my friend now.
Yeah. I am pretty
Mhm.
much, I like you. We're friends. Okay, cool. Here's my
There
number.
you go.
You're going to hear from me
Let's
20
do
times a
stuff.
day. Let's do stuff together.
Yep. Uh,
Yeah, that's right. The
yeah.
extra.
See, there you go. That's exactly right,
Is
Jay.
that what I hoard? That's my dragon hoard. It's introverts.
You hoard
I
introverts.
hoard introverts.
You hoard
I don't
introverts.
know. I occasionally
That
get
is
the
funny.
extrovert. I mean, we have like Calvina's sister MJ. Like I get the
It
occasional
happens.
extrovert.
Sometimes the introvert brings another extrovert.
Yeah. I gotta get
Hmm.
to spicy.
Yeah.
I like a Jillian
You
hoard. It
legit
does.
hoard.
I do. I actually do. Do hoard. I think it's because I don't know. Like I think it's because I introverts are just they hit that intellectual goofy, and I find that so many people don't give introverts the time of day, which is why a lot of them feel rejected. And like most of y'all have like the best personalities and the greatest sense of humor. And I would rather sit with a room full of introverts and not go anywhere or do anything
Hmm.
than it's just so much fun. Introverts are the best.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
All right. I gotta go. I gotta go
Go
back to school
shopping.
shopping. All right,
Yay!
everyone. We
All right.
hold on. You want to do
Bye.
the spiel right quick?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do it
So
quick.
this week we got some stuff. We got some stuff going on. We have so today is Sunday. So on Tuesday we have three bards and a dragon. I'm copy pasting some stuff. See if I get it right. Yeah. So we have three bards and a dragon on Tuesday at 7:30 Eastern. I just pasted the links to the members of Team AoA. So it is three bards and a dragon is an RPG podcast where we roll a d20 and it ruins our lives. The shenanigans abound and it is hilarious. So join us for some more shenanigans on Tuesday at 7:30 Eastern. On Wednesday on my channel. My channel is the Dorian Sombra channel. I do Lego building. So Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern, I build Legos. I'm working on the D&D set, which is right behind me right there. That's halfway done with the D&D set. So join me on Wednesdays as we build some Legos together, hang out. Then on Thursday, I might have this one. On Thursday, we have Dorks. We have Dorks on Demand. Did I paste it? Yeah, there it is. Got it. So we have Dorks on Demand. It is our friends from CCTV. They have a channel called the BRB Network channel, and they are doing their Dorks on Demand podcast, which is them talking about nerdy, geeky stuff. They've done Marvel episodes. They did movies, content of the 80s and 90s, the stuff they grew up on. It's really fun, really
I love
interesting.
them.
Great group. They are fantastic.
They're good.
They're entertaining. They're informative. They just have a good old time, and so definitely follow them or subscribe to their YouTube channel. It is YouTube, not Twitch. So check them out on Thursdays at 7 o'clock Eastern. And then that takes us back to Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern time for some more waking up. That is our scheduled content. Now, there at any point you might see a notification if you follow us. For it could be your roots is in the middle, could be gaming. We've done pop ups to do some gaming. So keep an eye out for any of our notifications. Come follow us. There are the links. Oh, and one more. Actually, no, that'll be it. I think that'll be it. So
All
done.
right, everybody. We will see you later. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Did you really just high five over me? Right
No,
now?
we didn't. You can
Okay,
do it
we're
again.
live.
Hey.
Hello.
Wait, last week,
You don't even do that well from the front seat.
Okay.
The bear is coming with the cup and spoon.
that's
Oh,
a straight up
no.
PBR for the table.
Yeah.
I think it called.